Liam Keller as CEO of Keller Automotive, billionaire, and, apparently, a man with the emotional intelligence of a flathead screwdriver stared at the empty high chair across the dining room. It was a $6,000 custom-made piece of walnut, and right now, it felt like a monument to his failure. Maisie, his 4-year-old daughter, was at her grandmother's for the weekend. The house, a sprawling Bel Air mansion, was silent. No tiny feet pattering on the marble. No demands for one more story or one more glass of water. Just the ghost of giggles and the lingering scent of banana muffins. He rubbed his tired eyes. 2 years. It had been 2 years since his wife, Elena, had left. She hadn't died. No, that would have been a clean, honorable pain. She had simply decided that the wife of a CEO, the mother of his child, was not the life she wanted. She traded nap time and building blocks for a yoga instructor in Bali and a life of authentic self-discovery. Liam was left with a broken heart, a thriving corporation he now ran on autopilot, and a tiny human who looked at him with her mother's eyes and asked questions he didn't know how to answer. He needed help. Not just any help. He needed a miracle. The agency had sent over a parade of candidates. There was the perky one who spoke to him in the same bright, condescending tone she'd use for a toddler. The stern, matronly one who looked at his house like a checklist of dust-collecting horrors. And the young, pretty one who spent more time glancing at his photo on the Forbes list than at the playroom. He was about to call the agency and cancel the last interview of the day when the doorbell chimed. He glanced at his watch. 4 p.m. on the dot. Good start. He opened the door to find a woman who was, in every measurable way, the opposite of what he expected. She wasn't dressed in a power suit or a frilly nanny uniform. She wore simple, well-fitting jeans, a cream-colored linen blouse, and sturdy, sensible sandals. Her hair was a long, dark brown braid thrown over one shoulder, and her face was free of heavy makeup. Her eyes, the color of warm honey, held a quiet intelligence and a weariness that mirrored his own. "Mr. Keller?" she asked, her voice a low, calm melody. "I'm Alara Vance." "Come in, Miss Vance," he said, stepping aside. He led her into the vast living room. Instead of admiring the panoramic view of the city or the original Picasso on the wall, she noticed the small, sad details. Her gaze lingered on the single, slightly crushed goldfish cracker ground into the Persian rug by the coffee table. It landed on the stack of children's books piled precariously on the marble side table, a Dr. Seuss title peeking out from under a copy of the Wall Street Journal. A small smile touched her lips. She sat down, not on the edge of the plush sofa as if ready to bolt, but comfortably, her hands resting in her lap. Liam, accustomed to controlling every interview, found himself stumbling. "So, your resume is interesting. A degree in early childhood development from Stanford, but then you spent the last 5 years building schools in rural Nepal." "Yes," she said simply. "And before that, I worked at a pediatric therapy center in Chicago." He leaned forward, his CEO persona taking over. "Miss Vance, let me be blunt. I need someone highly capable, highly organized, and highly discreet. Maisie is my entire world, and I cannot afford a mistake." The last 4 nannies didn't work out. They were either intimidated by the house, distracted by other things, or just didn't connect with her. Ilara nodded, her expression unchanged. "I understand. It's a unique situation." He launched into the standard pitch. The schedule, the salary, the benefits, the separate apartment attached to the house. He talked about Maisie's routines, her favorite foods, her aversion to peas. He spoke for a solid 10 minutes, detailing everything from the organic grocery delivery to the scheduled playdates with other celebrity children. When he finally stopped, Ilara was quiet for a moment. Then, she asked a question that threw him completely. "What makes her sad?" Liam blinked. "I'm sorry, Maisie," Ilara said, her honey-colored eyes unwavering. "You've told me what she eats, when she sleeps, and who she's supposed to play with. But what makes her sad? What does she do when she misses her mother? What's her tell?" The question hit him like a physical blow. He opened his mouth, then closed it. He could talk about EBITDA, supply chain logistics, and quarterly returns for hours. But this simple, profound question left him utterly speechless. He thought of the evenings when Maisie would go quiet, clutching a worn-out stuffed bunny, her little face a mask of confusion he couldn't penetrate. He thought of the times he'd find her standing by the front window, just staring out, waiting for a car that was never going to come. She. He stammered, the polished veneer of the CEO cracking to reveal the raw, uncertain father beneath. She gets quiet. She holds her bunny, Mr. Wiggles. And she just stares. Ilara's expression softened. It wasn't pity, but a deep, resonant understanding. Thank you for telling me that. Something in him snapped. The carefully constructed walls he'd built around his heart crumbled. He was tired. So tired of being strong, of being in charge, of pretending he had all the answers. He looked at this calm, perceptive woman, who saw a crushed cracker and a forgotten book and didn't see mess, but saw a life. The question tumbled out of him before he could stop it, raw and aching and completely inappropriate for a job interview. Why are you different from other women? The moment the words left his mouth, he wanted to suck them back into the vacuum of space. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that came out wrong. I just meant the other candidates. They saw the money, the house, the opportunity. You walked in here and you saw him. He gestured vaguely at the crushed goldfish. You saw Maisie. Ilara didn't look offended. She didn't blush or flinch. She simply held his gaze. Because, Mr. Keller, she said softly, a house isn't a home because of who owns it. It's a home because of who lives in it. And right now, the person who lives here most fully is a 4-year-old girl who has lost her mother. I'm not here for the view or the Picasso. I'm here for the little girl who left her cracker on the rug and her book on the table. He just stared at her, his heart hammering against his ribs. In a world of glitter and pretense, she was solid ground. In a forest of noise, she was a quiet, clear note. The silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken things. Finally, Liam cleared his throat, his voice thick. The position is yours, Miss Vance, if you'll have it. A genuine, warm smile broke across her face, and for the first time in 2 years, Liam felt a flicker of something he'd forgotten was possible. Hope. Ilara started the following Monday. Liam, ever the CEO, had prepared a comprehensive orientation packet. It included Wi-Fi passwords, emergency contacts, a detailed map of the 16-room house, and a laminated card with Maisie's allergies, schedule, and a list of approved television shows. Ilara thanked him politely, set the packet on the kitchen counter, and promptly knelt down to Maisie's level. Maisie, a tiny wisp of a girl with her father's dark hair and her mother's hauntingly beautiful eyes, clutched Mr. Wiggles to her chest and regarded Ilara with the suspicious gravity of a tiny, traumatized queen. Hello, Maisie, Ilara said. My name is Ilara. I'm not very good at playing princess, but I am very good at building forts. What do you think about that? Maisie's suspicious gaze flickered. With blankets? The biggest blankets we can find, Ilara confirmed. And just like that, a treaty was formed. For the first week, Liam found excuses to work from home. He lurked in doorways, pretending to check emails on his phone, watching this strange, calm woman with his daughter. He expected tears, tantrums, the inevitable rejection. But they never came. Ilara didn't try to be Maisie's mother. She didn't push for hugs or force cheerful conversations about feelings. She simply was there, present, steady. She built the fort in the living room and read stories by flashlight. She let Maisie help her bake cookies, even when it meant flour drifted over every surface like snow. When Maisie got quiet and stared out the window, clutching Mr. Wiggles, Ilara didn't rush to distract her. She simply sat nearby, humming softly, a silent anchor in the storm of the little girl's grief. By Friday, Liam was lost. He found them in the garden, sitting cross-legged on the grass. Maisie was carefully placing daisies into a tiny basket while Ilara braided a flower crown. She's amazing, Liam said, walking up behind them. Ilara looked up, shading her eyes from the sun. She has a very kind heart. She gave the biggest cookie to the gardener this morning. Liam smiled. It felt strange on his face, like a muscle he hadn't used in years. I meant you. You're amazing with her. A faint blush crept up Ilara's neck. I'm just being here. No, he said quietly, sitting down on the grass beside them, not caring about the cost of his trousers. It's more than that. You see her. Really see her. I didn't realize how much I needed that. Their eyes met, and something shifted in the air between them. A current. A connection neither of them had anticipated. Maisie, oblivious, held up a lopsided flower crown. For you, Daddy. Liam bowed his head, and Maisie placed it carefully on his hair. Ilara laughed a real, rich sound that made his chest achy and pulled out her phone to take a picture. Blackmail material, she said sweetly. For the first time in 2 years, Liam Keller laughed. Really laughed. The weeks that followed were the best of Liam's life. The house, once a mausoleum of success, began to feel alive. There were drawings taped to the refrigerator, a half-finished puzzle on the dining table, and the constant, beautiful sound of Maisie's giggles echoing through the halls. But it wasn't just Maisie who was changing. Liam found himself leaving the office earlier. He found excuses to wander into the kitchen, to ask Ilara's opinion on something trivial, to simply sit and watch her and Maisie play. He learned things about her. That she had grown up in foster care, shuffled between homes, which was why she understood the quiet kids, the watchful ones. That she had gone to Nepal not to find herself, but because an orphanage there had asked for help, and she had nothing keeping her in Chicago. That she laughed in her sleep, a soft, breathy sound Maisie had told him about one morning at breakfast. He also learned that she had walls. Beautiful, polite, impenetrable walls. She would deflect personal questions with the skill of a diplomat, turning the conversation back to him or Maisie. She never talked about past relationships, about why she was single, about what she wanted from her future. One evening, after Maisie was asleep, Liam found Ilara on the back patio, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the city lights. He brought her a mug of tea, Earl Grey, no sugar. He'd noticed her and sat in the chair beside her. Thank you, she said, wrapping her hands around the warm mug. Thank you, he replied, for everything. Maisie drew a picture of the three of us today. We're holding hands under a rainbow. She's never drawn a rainbow before. Ilara's eyes glistened. She's healing. She's not the only one. The words hung in the air. Ilara looked at him, and in the soft glow of the patio lights, he saw her walls flicker. Just for a moment. Liam, she began, her voice hesitant. I should tell you. Don't, he said quickly. Don't tell me anything that will make you leave. I know you have a life, a past, secrets. We all do. But please, just stay. For now. Stay. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded, a single, almost imperceptible movement. Okay, she whispered. For now. The crack appeared 3 months later. It was a Saturday. Maisie was at a birthday party, and Liam, for reasons he couldn't fully articulate, had asked Ilara to stay. They went for a hike in the hills above Malibu, the kind of spontaneous, normal thing he hadn't done in years. They sat on a rock, looking out at the ocean, the vast blue Pacific stretching to the horizon. I was married before, Ilara said suddenly, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam stilled, afraid to breathe, afraid to scare her back into silence. Her name was Sarah. We were together for 6 years. We adopted a little boy from Nepal. His name was Isha. Her voice cracked. They died 3 years ago. A car accident. Drunk driver ran a red light. The words fell like stones into still water, the ripples spreading outward, destroying everything in their path. Liam turned to look at her. Tears streamed silently down her face, but she made no sound. She had learned, he realized with a wrenching heart, to grieve silently, to be invisible in her pain. I went to Nepal because I didn't know what else to do, she continued. I couldn't stay in Chicago. Everything reminded me of them. The orphanage where we got Isha needed help. So I went. I stayed for 5 years. I thought if I helped enough children, built enough schools, I could, I don't know, earn my way out of the guilt. Guilt. Liam's voice was rough. Ilara, it wasn't your fault. I was driving, she said flatly. I survived. They didn't. I walked away with a scratch. Asha was 3, the same age as Maisie when Elena left. Liam understood now the reason she saw Maisie so clearly. The reason she wasn't afraid of the quiet grief of a child. She had lived it. She was living it still. He reached out and took her hand. It was cold, trembling. Ilara, he said softly, I'm so sorry. She looked at him, her honey-colored eyes swimming with tears. Now you know. I'm not a miracle worker, Liam. I'm just a broken person trying to help another broken person. I should have told you before you hired me. I should have. Stop, he said firmly, squeezing her hand. You told me when you were ready. That's all that matters. He shifted closer, wrapping an arm around her. She stiffened for a moment, then collapsed against him, her body shaking with silent sobs. He held her, right there on that rock above the Pacific, and let her grieve. They sat like that until the sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Finally, Ilara pulled back, wiping her eyes. I'm sorry. This isn't professional. To hell with professional, Liam said. And before he could overthink it, before the CEO could step in and calculate the risks, he leaned forward and kissed her. It was gentle, tentative, a question, not a demand. When he pulled back, her eyes were wide, startled. Liam, I know, he said. I know there are a million reasons this is a bad idea. You work for me. You're still grieving. I'm still grieving. Maisie is fragile. I know all of it. He cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away the last of her tears. But I also know that I haven't felt alive in 2 years. And then you walked into my house, saw a crushed goldfish cracker, and asked me what made my daughter sad. And in that moment, you became the most important person in my world. Ilara stared at him, her emotions flickering across her face like clouds across the sun. Fear, hope, longing. Fear again. What about Maisie? She whispered. If this goes wrong, it won't, he said with a certainty he didn't entirely feel. Because we won't let it. We'll go slow. We'll put her first. Always. But Ilara, I can't pretend I don't feel this. Can you? She was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, she shook her head. No, she admitted. I can't. He kissed her again, and this time she kissed him back. It was a kiss of two broken people, tentative and trembling, but also fierce with the possibility of healing. They drove home in a comfortable silence, hands intertwined across the console. When they walked into the house, Maisie was already back from her party, sitting at the kitchen table with Elena's mother, Patricia. Patricia's face, when she saw them walk in together, holding hands, was a study in cold fury. Liam, she said, her voice like ice. We need to talk. Ilara instinctively pulled her hand away, but it was too late. Patricia's eyes had already catalogued everything of the closeness, the comfort, the unmistakable intimacy. I'll go check on Maisie's party favor, Ilara said quietly, disappearing into the living room. Patricia waited until she was gone, then turned to Liam, her eyes blazing. Are you out of your mind? She hissed. You're hiring the help and then dating her? Have you forgotten that my daughter is barely gone? Have you forgotten that Maisie is still adjusting? Patricia, it's no. Don't, she snapped, holding up a hand. I see exactly what it is. And I won't have it. My granddaughter will not be raised by some gold-digging nanny you're sleeping with. If you don't end this, I will take you to court for custody. And I will win. Liam felt the blood drain from his face. You wouldn't. Try me. From the doorway, unseen by either of them, Ilara heard everything. That night, Liam found a note on the kitchen counter, written in Ilara's careful, elegant handwriting. Liam, I told you I was broken. Broken people break things they love. I won't break Maisie. I won't let my presence cost you your daughter. Thank you for seeing me, for holding me, for that moment on the cliff. But this is where I get off. Tell Maisie I left because I had to go help other children. Tell her I'll always treasure her flower crowns. Don't look for me. Liam read the note 3 times. Then he crumpled it in his fist, a sound of raw anguish escaping his throat. He ran to the apartment attached to the house. Empty. Closet bare. The only trace she'd ever been there was a small flower crown, made of dried daisies, hanging on the doorknob. Maisie appeared behind him, rubbing her eyes, Mr. Wiggles tucked under her arm. "Daddy, where's Ilara?" Liam sank to his knees, pulling his daughter into his arms, his shoulders shaking with silent sobs. He had finally found someone who made him feel alive again. And now, because of fear, because of the past, because of the ghosts that haunted them both, she was gone.